What does James Bowie's famous Bowie knife have to do with Washington, Arkansas? Coming up, we'll talk about it. This is the community of Washington, Arkansas. It was located on the old Southwest Trail, and during the Civil War, when Union troops occupied Little Rock, this small town became the capital of Arkansas from 1863 to 1865. For almost 3 years, the state Supreme Court and legislature met in this building. Also, the governor officed here. Built in 1836, this building served as the county courthouse until 1874, when a new courthouse was built. When officials would step out of the front of the building, they were greeted by a beautiful young magnolia tree. But over the last 185 years, it's grown a bit. This amazing magnolia tree was planted in 1839, and it is the tallest magnolia tree in all of Arkansas. All the magnolia trees you see around this are from this individual tree. So how could one magnolia tree give birth to all these other trees? Well, with time and age, heavy branches can start to droop, and after sitting on the dirt for so long, parts of the branch will take root, sprouting new magnolia trees. Over the last 185 years, that's what's happened with this magnolia tree. In fact, this one tree created an entire stand of magnolia trees. The weekend we went to Washington, they were celebrating Frontier Days and the rich history of the community. Just down from the magnolia tree, we found an encampment of travelers. They were hard at work preparing for their ongoing journey down the Southwest Trail. So we chatted with a couple of the ladies. Well, we're sitting here with April, and she's working on the loom. April, where are you heading?
Well, we're headed down to Texas to settle down there. Hopefully get better land.
Where'd you come from?
Up around St. Louis.
Now, how'd you get down here? I noticed you got quite the encampment set up here.
Well, we're in wagons following the Southwest Trail down through Arkansas, down to Texas, to live with family.
Now, how long does that kind of trip take?
Better part of a month.
Okay, April's friend Lori is busy working also. What are you doing?
I am putting what they call a blanket stitch on my granddaughter's capote, and that will keep the edges from fraying as bad.
Now that's what y'all wear as coats then?
Yes, that's our coats.
For fun, the campsite had some friendly hatchet throwing competition. I thought I'd give it a try. Oh. Okay, not so good. Then my wife decided she'd try. Look at you. Not to be outdone, I gave it the old college try one more time.
All right.
Victory. Our next stop is across the street at the Royston Log Cabin. And I know it doesn't look like a log cabin, but trust me, the logs are inside those walls that were put on later. And it was the Royston family that brought to town that beautiful magnolia tree. You'll notice how thick the window framing is. Why's that? Because inside that framing are the old logs to the Royston Log Cabin. Those 185-year-old logs were hiding for a while. That's right, the old county jail is now the jail bed and breakfast. Next, let's talk about Jim Bowie. You know him, he died at the Battle of the Alamo. He was famous for his knife called the Bowie knife. It was in this blacksmith shop in 1831 that James Black, who was a silversmith, made Colonel James Bowie the original Bowie knife.
I'm going to put a point on the end of this. It's flat. See, it's flat, baby. So we're going to put a point on it.
Blacksmiths have been around for thousands of years, and this is an example of how they still shape their metal. They heat the piece of iron till it's red hot and use the hammer and anvil to shape it.
See how easy that was?
Just think how amazing it is that in this very blacksmith shop, the famous Bowie knife was created. This is the Goodlet Gin. It was built by David Madison Goodlet in 1883 so he could gin the cotton he produced on his farm about 6 miles northwest of Washington. He also operated a grist and sorghum mill at the gin. When the Goodletts opened the gin to the public in the late 1800s, a scale was installed so the gin operator knew how many pounds the farmer brought and how much he should receive after milling. Once area farmers dropped off their produce, the corn and grain were ground and the cotton ginned, and the peas were shelled. When everything was done, you'd pull your wagon up next to this platform and they would lower gunny sacks filled with ground grains into your wagon and you'd head home. Shortly after the gin was closed in 1966, the Goodlett family donated the gin to the state park and it was moved to its present location. Our next stop is the Pioneer Cemetery that was established in 1824, 200 years ago. There were 3 tombstones that I found especially amazing. The headstones of John Holman, James Williams, and Eli Collins, all veterans of the Revolutionary War that won our country's independence from Great Britain. There are literally hundreds of unmarked graves in the cemetery, lost to the centuries.